honestly, that in combination with Porygon 2, if of course the download boost is procced, is pretty much all you need. And being able to actually have Ghost Terra as an option is actually cool to see as well.
Well, we're getting the Porygon 2 and a way to be putting some pressure on. That'll be Porygon and the Gouging Fire to kick things off for Justin. Landorus Incarnate and
Special attack Rose.
Brilliant. Okay. Right away, see the Drews. You also get to see the Photosynthesis with that booster energy. The speed, no surprise there.
Yeah, none at all. And we did actually see the special attack increase as well via the download, which automatically adds a lot of pressure over on Aurelien's side, and maybe even a focus down from them too. Maybe the fake out will likely try to target down the Porygon 2 because it just has a lot of room for being able to maneuver itself. But more importantly, the Gouging Fire always does have the option of going for any sort of offensive move straight off the bat.
It's whether you want to keep the Porygon 2 honest, or if you're worried about the potential of that Terra Ghost coming out and making sure that nothing's going to be happening. The Terra that is coming out, though, will be the Landorus Incarnate, making sure you're not going to be taking a bunch of damage from that potential Ice Beam. No fake out on the Porygon 2, instead into that Gouging Fire.
Yeah. Oh, das ist aber big.
Porygon 2 can attack, but might not be for much.
Sludgebomb, nicht für
Earth Power. However,
falls er wahrscheinlich.
No Earth Power there, maybe anticipating a terrestrialization on that side of things, but the Ice Beam focus does target on the so really nice defensive.
Von den 3-9 mag ich Windewogen wahrscheinlich am meisten. Darius,
allow themselves a lot more of resource management versus Justin.
That is still a lot of damage.
Ich weiß immer noch nicht, was ich von Gouging Fire halten soll. Der stört mich irgendwie immer noch.
Coming out from Aurélien, sure, your Terra has been spent, but this Porygon 2 is not offering that same amount of pressure as it did once more. Sure, the Ice Beam into the Rillaboom could do a bunch, but bringing the Dragonite in here means that you're not going to be taking a super effective attack. It'd just be Protect, something we don't see too often coming out from Rillaboom.
Yeah, especially a company like that Meadow play. But at this situation, being able to get that additional attack boost over on Dragonite's side with that switch in via the Howl is such a nice little side play from Justin. As the Gouging Fire is now down for the count. All it needed was, of course, that guaranteed 2-hit KO via the Poison Terrestrialization of the Sludge Bomb.
Get that attack boost while you still can, and a free opportunity to be pivoting into something that can help you a little bit more here. Porygon 2 coming back out onto the field. Dragonite at the +1 at this right now. You still have that Life Orb, so you're at the +1 and
ja, ich finde mittlerweile Raging Bolt und Windewogen übertrieben cool.
Earlier on in the day. And the Gouging Fire likes that speed because it has that booster energy, but now that you have this Dragonite on the field, something like that Trick Room to twist the dimensions in your favor could actually lead way for this Dragonite to do some damage.
And it's such a nice little interaction, being able to essentially have that Howl support on the side. Not only do you have the equivalent of, let's say, a choice band on your side, you've got additional damage and the potential of being able to freely select your moves and get any sort of protects into it.
Dragonite Terrestrialization, normal type, and extreme speed. This has been used so much in VGC so far. No surprise there. More than handedly enough to take the Landorus Incarnate down. This Trick Room's not going to be for the Dragonite. It's going to have the priority, but instead the Porygon 2 can do it for itself and get the dimensions in its favor. Of course, it will be after an attack coming out from this really
stark!
It's going to be trading KOs.
Stark!
So much damage being from
big
both
play.
sides of the field. The Dragonite, even though it did get that huge KO onto the opposing terrestrialized Pokemon, does have to unfortunately forego that mechanic as the Trick Room is now set up. So this may be a bit of a setup of perhaps in Kingambit entering that Trick Room mode phase of the game.
That still hurts a little bit. That Woodhammer would have been initially resisted so much had there not been the Terrestrialization, but anticipating that, hey, I need a little bit more with this extreme speed, going out of it and then going to be a neutral hit, so definitely tough. You do have now the dimensions in your favor. Ogrepon Heartflame going to be hitting the field over on Aurelien's end here. Looking over at this Ogrepon, there's not going to be the double Grassy Glide coming out, but still a lot of damage if given the opportunity to attack, which it looks like it could because Kingambit sometimes needs to set up a little bit before it could deal that massive amounts.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you could get any sort of stray, snarl, or electro webs, but none of those are, of course, in play this game. But Kingambit, maybe in combination with Porygon 2, if you double up on one side, may be able to do enough damage.
You see the nods coming out from Justin. Protect onto the Heartflame. Ogre is the double up into the edge slot.
Rillaboom gedouble-targeted, ne?
And Terra Blast from Porygon to the follow-up.
Boah, beide echt strong gerade.
And goes down.
Yeah, enough damage, of course, really well read there from Justin.
Sehr strong von beiden gerade.
To identify the correct and appropriate focus down there, the protect, the spiky
Aber
shield would have been
Urshifu ist
great
ja auch
if
sehr
Aurélien
big.
did, of course, bait that double in, but being able to sort of forego that. Now bringing in the Urshifu, it does have a really
Er wird
good chance of
wahrscheinlich
being
follow
able to at least
me.
pick up a KO here,
Ja,
but the redirection is in play.
aber Justin
Yeah, follow me.
readet
Make
das
sure that everything's
natürlich.
going to be targeted towards that, and you keep that Urshifu safe. Assurance will be the first to act there. It's still going to be above
Frage
ground. That
ist,
could be such a
lebt
dangerous
Ogapon
attack, but
das?
not at that point. But the
Nee.
follow-up Terra Blast from Porygon 2 is putting in the work.
Wow.
Okay.
All of a sudden, you see this combination, even though the King
Close
Gambit
Combat
hasn't
nimmt
been
King Gambit
boosted,
raus.
it deals so much damage, but guess what?
Jetzt kommt der
It
Close
is actually
Combat in
retaliated
P2.
with a KO of the Close Combat there, so the redirection really coming in clutch there.
Aber
That's why
vorher
you have to
bringt
keep
der Terra
your
Blast
Urshifu
ihn
safe,
auf den
dealing out massive amounts of damage that of
Sash,
course
beziehungsweise
is
vielleicht
going to
detectet
be
er auch erstmal eine Runde, wenn er
lowered
die
defense
Detect
and
hatte.
special defense now. 1v1.
Ich glaube, wenn er
Porygon 2
Detect
has
hat,
that special
der ist ja
attack
eh
boost.
Sash.
Urshifu, that
Wenn er
special
Detect
defense
hat, dann
drop.
detectet
Porygon
er
2
hier
has to be putting in the most work now, and it has
und drückt
all
jetzt
matches.
zweimal
Should be
Close
detected
Combat.
through this turn, though.
Yeah, as we do have 2 Trick Room turns remaining, Aurélien wanting to go ahead and burn that additional turn.
Der drückt
allow
jetzt
the
halt
focus
zweimal
Sash to
Close
stay
Combat.
intact in order to get 2 consecutive Close
Und dann
Combats,
sollte
hoping
es
to
das...
guarantee
Oh, er geht für den
Ice
Freeze.
Beam, see how much damage this does. See if you can get the freeze. And
Oh.
it is survival. Close
Okay.
combat followed off in return. The
Okay.
Porygon 2 surviving as well. But with the Trick Room
Aber
expiring,
starkes Game von
Urshifu
beiden, starkes
and
Game.
surviving will be able to pick up the KO on the next turn.
Yeah, very well played endgame from Aurélien, being able to capitalize off of that. You do have the really nice addition of the follow me
Starkes Game.
redirection on the Ogapon and the duality of being able to optimally choose the mode that you want to go for, as Aurélion's going to go ahead and pick up this game 1.
What a match between these two trainers. We knew it was going to be a good one, but coming down just to the
Freeze war der
wire.
Play, ja, 100%.
Now we have to see
natürlich.
where we can change things up in this game too. And that's always a hard one when it's
Hab ich
such
ja
a
nie
tough match
angezweifelt.
and such a close match, because it could have just been a roll at the end. You could have had the roll, it could have been the freeze. There was a couple of different things. Both players really playing to capabilities. I think the biggest thing that calling out to me is the Dragonite Terastallization. But also, if you don't Terra and you don't get the KO, then it also would have been something
das war ein Schlagabtausch. Beide sehr gut gespielt.
Yeah, the sort of maybes.
Wundermann,
and
die
nuances
Night
of
war
the
halt
different modes.
insane,
We do
ne?
have the Howl and the Dragonite switch in at the opportune
Das ist halt
moment
crazy.
in order to be able to capitalize off of that. Maybe the Landorus was within range, like you're saying, Sierra.
Und der ist sogar
that,
richtig gut.
Justin didn't need
Die Frage ist,
to commit to
hätte
Terastallization
E-Speed
and
ohne
have that
Terra
available
Landorus
in the
trotzdem
back
gekillt
with the
auf plus
King
1,
Gambit,
maybe.
but, well, it's left to be seen. We do know, of
Pomo
course,
Go
it
ist
did
immer
guarantee that
relativ
KO
schnell zu Ende.
Yeah,
Das geht sehr
so
schnell.
You,
Und da sind
you
natürlich
take
auch
the
weniger
one,
Leute da, ja.
and hey, maybe we'll know now in this game too. We might see a different path going
Aber die
on
kommen
from
immer
there.
sehr schnell
So
durch.
it's one of those really, really tough calls. I like the little shrug. You might not have been at that moment, but I'm gonna pretend that it was. That is how I'm feeling it. But
Der
yeah,
kommt-
it was definitely a
der
really,
kommt
really
eigentlich
close
über
match. I'm really
alles.
surprised at the amount that Porygon 2 is able to
Ja, und Sola ist
accomplish
wirklich
in
sehr
that.
gut.
I know it got the trace into the special attack, which is gonna be helping it out. But still, it was putting in work once it got that Trick Room set up.
Yeah, and I picked up on something very interesting. The King Gambit is confirmed to be slower than the Porygon 2 under terms of Trick Room, so it was able to move first. And that's not usually the pair-up synergy combination you would expect with Assurance and Porygon 2, so maybe that's sort of like an anti-hard Trick Room mode option of offensive pressure that Justin can sort of apply depending on the matchup.
I'd be looking more at this Assurance with the other faster Pokemon that Justin has on his team. If you have this Fluttermane with like a Dazzling Gleam or Gouging Fire with the Breaking Swipe, you have these spread damage attacks that, hey, especially with the Gouging Fire, you get the other capability and you get to follow it up. We're talked about, to quickly say about the Fluttermane though, and that's what we're seeing from both players coming out in this game too.
Okay.
Paired with the Wellspring Ogerpon on
Beide holen
Justin's
Fluttermane
end
raus.
and Landorus for Aurélien.
Yeah, we've got Choice Specs on one side versus Booster Energy on the other. The Booster Energy does have the option of opting to go for immediate speed control in order to guarantee the outspeed, but then it has to be very cognitive of a terrestrialization of the Ogerpon in order to essentially take all of the especially offensive output that Aurélien does have available.
This one's always difficult when it's a Fluttermane v
Protect.
Fluttermane, but it looks like Justin might get this
Kein
one
Terra
right.
von
Protect
Landorus.
coming out Aurelian's Fluttermane.
Okay,
But
nein,
actually the double
beantwortet.
protect.
Der wollte vielleicht
All
einen
right,
Terra
we're keeping it
rausbaiten.
safe. I was gonna say, this could be a massive call.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
keeping it safe. This also too does secure that you know what Justin's
Plus
been
er
walking
sieht, worin
into with that
Fluttermane
choice
sich
specs,
lockt.
so you can play around that, have that information going on forward.
Yeah, it's a really safe scout and smart to be able to at least anticipate and follow up on it. So now that you've got a bit of a understanding of what move it's slotted into, maybe you can actually terrestrialize outside of that weakness if you are the Fluttermane, for example.
Sehe ich.
Aurélien, you now know that, hey, there is the Shadow Ball. You saw that it was targeted into the Landorus, but you do have to be aware that it could be targeting into your own Flutter Mane, and either go for the Terastallization, spend it right on this moment, which does mean your Landorus can be weak to something in the back, and you already saw the Porygon 2 earlier, and Aurélien doesn't know if it was brought this time around.
Oh, Raizor schaut, der war nicht happy. Oh!
The double connect in King Gambit, it might be slower, but it's definitely going to get stronger with the Defiant now activated to give a +2
Yeah, this is going to be an absolute...
Oh! Oh my God!
Barely does Earth Power. From Aurélien there in anticipation of the switch up. Shadow Ball is enough.
Okay, aber das ist actually gut, dass killt.
Justin has picked up a KO and also has a +2 King Gambit.
That survival was key, and not being able to get rid of it. Sure, it is a slow Pokemon. Sure, it's on a sliver of health, but you do have the priority. Facing off that Urshifu
kann ihn halt zackern.
Time though, since there is going to be something that can be outspeeding, and King Gambit, sure, it might resist the dark hit, but it can't quite at that health. But then focusing that down, you are then at mercy at the Flutter Mane.
Flutter ist in Shadow Ball gelockt.
And already, even just looking at the fact that there's Shifu over on our end, it doesn't have a defensive Terra, so you're still actually going to be taking a lot of damage from that potential Flutter Mane in the first place.
Yeah, and I think the important part there is to be able to at least break that Focus Sash to allow your Pokemon in the back to be able to capitalize off of that. Maybe a faster
Aber der Earth Power Play auf
Gouging
die Gambit war ja insane.
allow yourself more room to be able to enable the
Weil da stand eben noch Ogre
does feel a bit threatened at this current point.
That's crazy.
You can break the sash, but you're likely susceptible to a KO.
Yeah, so Flutter Mane going to be swapping out for
Lucas,
that reason. Sure, you're going to pressure it into the Urshifu, but also playing it safe. Bring the Ogerpon in onto the
Dankeschön für deinen Resub, Lukas. Vielen Dank.
King Gambit.
Ja, da kommt der Sucker Punch, sag ich ja.
Priority, but I am the faster priority. Take it down. Perfect Pokemon.
Warte, warum Flutter Mane? Ich war gerade, warum geht der in Ogerpon? Slash Bomb wäre ja auch gegen Flutter Mane voll okay gewesen.
Just barely, and this is a Pokemon that is so well known for its special defensive hold. Obviously, it hasn't been able to capitalize off of Terastallization and have the +1 and removal of the grass type,
easy Shadow Ball in
typing, should I say,
Landorus,
to take that a bit more better. But the most important key factor here is the survival. You do at least have the option of a redirection and maybe start setting up this Gouging Fire.
And only the Gouging Fire with the redirection on a low health.
Aber der kriegt ja.
Don't think it's gonna make it too far, though it was an attempt at the Sucker Punch, so that is gonna be null and void. Howl will bring an attack boost to both of the Pokemon currently out on the field.
Let's go,
Making sure it gets the Gouging Fire in the following turn.
Lord, Ausrufezeichen EUIC.
Take it out, but no, Landorus will be attacking into it. No reason to try and set up anything else, and that is already going to be final 2 Pokemon for Justin.
Yeah, this is a lovely place for Justin. He's trying to capitalize at least off of the momentum that he's able to get with that redirection. Now you know the Flutter Mane has to lock in. So you're either going to go for the Dazzling Gleam lock-in and at least try to get the Breaking Swipe, break the Focus Sash, and either force a
Breaking Dazzling
over on Aurélion's side, or at least deal so much damage that Aurélion's going to start running out of resources.
And you do still have your Terra, so you are threatened by the Sucker Punch over on the opposing end, but going into the Terra, you can then defensively make sure you can be taking that hit a lot better to try and make sure you can be doing as most that you can on this turn.
Yeah, as we do see the Terastallization,
muss Terra wegen Sucker.
And he is going to be trying to go for absolutely ridiculous amounts of damage right now.
All right, Landorus, that will be the protect, though. Not wanting to take that ridiculous amounts of damage potentially coming out here at this point. As Sucker Punch will fire off into the Flutter Mane, taking that hit just so much better. It'll actually be a Heat Crash, not the Breaking Swipe coming out. So instead of breaking the potential Sash, instead targeting into the Landorus, the Dazzling Gleam, it'll do so much. But of course, no Sash broken means that Urshifu will stick around.
Yeah, it will indeed. But I actually quite like this position for Justin because at least you're limiting the switch out potential that Aurélien has on their side. So you're forcing the Landorus to either take all of that damage or Terastallize or have to switch out.
And that'll be the thing there. So the Landorus, sure, you protected past turn.
Oh!
And hits it 1 in 3.
Oh!
You're going to get it this time around. Sucker Punch, a little bit more damage onto this Flutter Mane. It's going to be huge. He crashed null and void. You see the look on Justin's face.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy. That is a very unfortunate situation. Like, Aurélien playing to their outs, naturally speaking, they want to be able to allow more room for that final fourth Pokemon to contest with the grassalization mechanic there, and at least force a 50-50 mind game on what Justin needs to anticipate and focus down on. So hence why you see such dismay in Justin's face.
Wird mit Ogapon terran wahrscheinlich.
You just have to go for it, and if you hit it, it pays off in dividends. Heartflame Ogerpon, the last and final Pokemon for Aurélien here, and now this is where we'll see that breaking swipe come out. But at this point, two spread damage attacks. Like, will you even get the amount of damage you need?
Yeah, maybe Aurélien can try to focus down and get a third protect, but no, we got
ich glaube, der lebt sogar einen Dazzling Breaking Swipe, oder?
Of at least trying to go onto the offensive.
War das ein... der Dingske... Ah, okay, jetzt mit Follow Me. Oh!
Make sure if there was a single target, it is going to be redirected at this point, as Breaking Swipe is going to be the force. It does do a significant amount of chip, bringing each one down just about a third. But when we see the Dazzling Gleam,
er muss es machen wie Heat Crash.
No, as it is double resisted right now from both Pokemon on Aurélien's side.
Das sieht aber fein aus. Und das sollte GG sein. Das sollte GG sein. Außer er kriegt jetzt den Dazzling Gleam Double Crit. Ja.
Hey, I mean,
right?
I mean, there has been some crazy things that have happened, and with no other option, you just have to go for it. Dazzling Gleam into the final two.
Oh my God.
Barely anything there, but the wood hammer is going to seal the
Imagine, da wäre der Double Crit gekommen.
Take the series 2-0.
And what a way to do it. Justin really trying to play.
Die gucken ehrlich meinen Stream.
Imagine,
da wäre der Double Crit gekommen. Das wäre geisteskrank gewesen.